Folks, welcome into the hangout of the night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is the late night on campus. As usual, I'll be your host, Donnie Wright. My partner in crime, Jeff Nadu. He is the big man on campus. We had to take a momentary delay. Almost got a huge comeback for my Baltimore Orioles play, but it looks like that one's going to go down. But I do have it matched up with another dog, so we probably will pull a profit tonight. That's neither here nor there. Big man, how's it going today, buddy?
Oh, doing great. How about you, Donnie?
Yeah, a lot of work we put in today behind the scenes and on the air. Busy day, but Jeff, we got to bring the shows to the people, man. We can't rest over here.
Yeah, this is my third show today, Donnie. I did the right side of campus. I did the soccer show earlier, and now I do the late night on campus. But no rest for the weary, Donnie, right side. We try to be the hardest working men in the business, and we keep doing that here. Another night, another dollar. Donnie, before we get into it, welcome to everyone out there listening. As always, we do appreciate it. If you're out there, please give us a like. Let us know you're out there. Say hello. We will be discussing the baseball card tonight and what happened. We'll also talk about, Donnie, a couple games coming up here. Before we do anything, Donnie, let's just look at those quick here at SBRodds.com. We did talk about all the games today on the right side of campus, but you got a couple games starting here in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Mets, San Diego, pitching change for San Diego. Kyle Lloyd going for the Padres tonight. Interesting here, Donnie. It was supposed to be Chacin, and this total's moved up basically half a run.
Yeah.
I'm in the belief that it would still it'll go over still. I mean, I liked it with Chacin. I'd like it with Lloyd. Lugo, I'm not into. Tyone Bumgarner. I said I like the under here. I would still stick with that. Pomerantz and Hernandez. I like Boston here, Donnie, in this game. I really like Boston. I think this game is going to be won in the late innings, and I think Boston has the much better bullpen. You would agree with that, right?
The line actually moved back during the day. You had it obviously opening up as Boston as a favorite. When we were on the show earlier today, Jeff, minus 115 was poking its head through for Felix, but it looks like it's backtracked a little bit there. I would tend to agree because at this time and stage, I mean, you want to get good starting pitching, which Pomerantz should be able to give them. The numbers speak for themselves this year, but a very good bullpen. I'd rather lean on the Red Sox bullpen, you're right, than the Seattle bullpen.
And at 2-1, at 1-2, I would almost, and many of know my love affair with the Dodgers. It's hard, Donnie, to not bet Minnesota tonight. Berrios is a pretty decent pitcher. Kenta Maeda's been pretty good at home, but they've been a good road team. You saw last night. They don't have a problem scoring runs. But the only game that I'm really heavy on, to me, is probably going to be Boston. That'd be the only team that I'd really look at here in the late games. But we'll see how it goes. Donnie, we are sponsored by BetOnline, the great folks at betonline.ag. Head on over there anytime to get a book. I mean, obviously, football season is coming up. It's important that you're making sure that you have multiple books and you have a way to get your plays in. Lines come out early at BetOnline. There's all sorts of things you can do over there. Live lines, poker, casino, horses, all sorts of stuff over there at BetOnline. So make sure you head over there as soon as possible. Donnie, what else do we have going on tonight?
IFBC.live. Check it out. If you haven't done so yet, there's probably a good chance, Jeff, you're not making it down to Costa Rica. Time is running out, just about over a week away. Sun, fun, gambling, cigars, poker tournaments. I'll embarrass myself at least one way or another. Hopefully just the poker tournament, not anything else there. But I will be imbibing. I will be having some cigars. Hell, we might even take a swim there on the 8th floor lounge and pool at the Grand Casino in Escazú.
Yeah, I'm sure many will have a great time down there. I know you will, Donnie, and it should be a fun time for all. Welcome out there on the chat box to everyone. Fun show planned tonight. We will talk mostly about baseball. We'll get into the NFL as well, Donnie. NFL becoming more and more important to talk about. It's coming fast and furious. A close personal friend of mine, Donnie, is going to join us. We're going to talk a little fantasy, little NFL in general. If you know me, you know Ryan. Ryan's been on my podcast. He's been my best friend since we were in 6th grade. So for me, Donnie, I wanted to get him on the show. I hope he can be more involved once in a while coming on. He's a great guy on the air. We can talk a little fantasy football. Just have some fun talking about the NFL tonight. I know you're an NFL guy, so it'd be good to chat with Ryan tonight. He'll come on in the second half hour. But, Donnie, let's get into a little MLB. What do you think?
Yeah, let's go down the card to see what we had, what we thought would happen earlier, what didn't happen. Obviously, watching the Cubs earlier today, easy win, 7-2 final, over under. It looks like it closed at 9, so you probably got to push unless you got in real early with that 8.5. Lackey didn't have too much trouble with the Chicago White Sox. Also, Jeff, coming across the wire, I did see another bullpen move for the White Sox, sending over reliever Schwartzak over to the Milwaukee Brewers. So that further depletes that team. Jeff, how many times are we going to say it as the summer goes on? The haves and the have-nots. It's hard to bet a team, Jeff, and a team that's not very good like the White Sox, and now you just stripped probably the strength of their team heading into the season, or for at least through April, May, and June. How are you going to back this team going forward? I can't understand it.
You look at their lineup, a lot of young guys. I mean, Yohan Moncada and Yolmer Sanchez, and just a lot of young guys in that group. Todd Frazier was your veteran. He's gone. Jose Abreu's become just a guy. I mean, he was the guy for a while in Chicago. Now he's just a guy. Their pitching is disastrous. I mean, who's their ace, Donnie? I mean,
yeah, I mean, Rodon was supposed to be, that up-and-comer with electric stuff. He's been getting shelled. Right. I don't know what the future holds for them, in pitching-wise coming up from – I know – these young guys, you're right with the lineup. Moncada comes up now. They do have still some prospects down in AAA and AA. They're going to come up and hit. But again, it's all about pitching. Unless you have pitching, you don't win anything. Bullpen's depleted. I don't know where the White Sox look up from here right now.
Did you watch the game today, Donnie?
I watched the game today. Not all of it, but I was tuned in and out of it.
Yeah, and I mean, Hulk Harrelson's great, but he's got to get it under control. I mean, he was a little bit ridiculous today, and I'll be honest. I love him. I think he's a national treasure, but he was really vile today. I thought that was out of line. Some of the things he was saying, and it's amazing. Go
ahead, man. Expound on it. What was he saying?
I don't know if you saw, but in the 7th inning, I think it was, John Lackey hit 3 different Cubs or 3 different White Sox. Same inning. Yeah. And, initially, he was kind of just like, well, that's pathetic. What's he doing? We're going to get a shot to hit him in the second, in the second half of the inning. And then it kept happening. And he was like, oh, well, this is on purpose. This is pathetic. We better get a warning at some point. This is disgusting. And then he's talking about hitting John Lackey after the game so they can't break it up. And then he's discussing
really?
Yeah, he was really vile, I thought. I mean, it was amazing and he just kept doing it. He just kept talking about how they need to bean John Lackey, and when he just said after, they need to hit him after the game so they can't break it up, it got a little pathetic. And then there was 2 guys on base, and Lackey came up, and they actually pitched to him. They couldn't hit him on purpose. At the end of the inning, he goes, well, that sucks. There are people on base. It's like, dude, he's like, you actually think they're up 5-2? You really think they're trying to hit hit the White Sox on purpose? I mean, he just really at times has no idea what's going on, and he calls out umpires all the time. He thought that today. He thought that the guy in New York had a vendetta against the White Sox and possibly were making calls to affect them, at times.
They don't even make it public in New York who the guys are actually in that working crew. So whoever it was had a vendetta.
He actually called one of the umps up by name, and he's like, yeah. He's like, well, that guy's known to not like us here. And he's just really was out of line, I thought. But yeah, no, they're bad. And they're going to be a team that you want to keep fading. They don't have much going on right now that's good at all.
No, certainly. Another couple games here in the docket that finished up just here locally. Houston with a 5-0 shutout. One of those games, Jeff, for the Phillies where, again, I mean, you got to expect it every once in a while that the Phillies just aren't going to show up. But, again, the line opened up at 10.5, dropped to 8.5. One would think, Jeff, and, again, Houston didn't put out the best lineup they possibly could, but it doesn't matter. They did their part. But in baseball, in football, in life, if nobody is on your tail or threatening whatsoever, sometimes you just cruise the rest of the ball game. You'd even have thought that Houston probably could get 8 themselves, where the Phillies just needed 1. They were completely inept tonight at the plate.
There's a line in The Wire in season 5. Gus Haynes, the editor of the Baltimore Sun, says, sometimes you just get took. And I got took tonight in this game. I got swally-gagged and spit out in this game. This was a clear underplay. I should have saw it coming. Why was this total only 8.5, Donnie? Why was Charlie Morton, Nick Pivetta at 8.5? Why was this great lineup at 8.5? Why was the Phillies, who've been really hitting the ball? I mean, but you look at the Phillies tonight. It's vile, Donnie, that they put this team on the field every night. It's truly amazing. I mean, there's nothing in that lineup that is anything close to a really good major league player. I mean, Howie Kendrick. I mean, how pathetic is this guy, Howie Kendrick? I mean, Cam Perkins. I mean, what is this crap?
Yeah, no, I mean, when you look at the Phillies, you're right on point there. Like watching, it's not even about the talent level so much, because if you look at the St. Louis Cardinals, you know, they don't always do the right thing out there, but you could tell they're schooled from single A all the way up to the major leagues. When you have Odubel Herrera and Maikel Franco, Jeff, they don't give a shit about anything unless they can drive a ball out there.
I mean, it was amazing with fucking Odubel Herrera. I mean, guy hits a double to deep center field. It gets caught. He bat flips, doesn't even run the base. It's just so pathetic. I mean, and I got to tell you, from the outside looking in, it looks like Pete McCannon's lost this team. This team has no pep. They don't care. They're brutal. I mean, they're only.
Like if you're at work in any situation, Jeff, Odubel Herrera and Maikel Franco, where the upper management is telling him basically nobody's coming up from our minor league system. So what do? I don't give it. Like, why am I going to run this goddamn ball out? For what reason? Are you going to send me down? No, you already said you're not sending me down. You know, the boos rain down. Case in point tonight, it's the little things that we always look at as well. When you strike out with a ball in the dirt and it bounces away from the catcher and you walk back to the dugout instead of jogging, 75% down the line and waiting for him to throw out. Just the courtesy of
that. And McCannon won't do anything about it. No. If that's manual, he's going to say, sit the fuck down. You're benching next game. Don't do that dumb shit again. He did it with Jimmy Rollins, and that's why those teams won baseball games. Now, look, I'll admit, they had better players, but it's setting the precedent that even when you're bad, you still have to play with pride. Like
professional at bats. Just give me a professional effort. You're right, man.
You know, everything I say, Donnie, seemingly goes back to the wire in every sense of the imagination. But I remember in season 5, they weren't getting paid the police force. And I remember Carver made a speech and saying that we police one of the roughest districts in the world. We're going to go out and act professional. We go out and act professional. This is a gritty gutter job, but at the end of the day, it might not be pretty, but we're going to go out and act like professionals. The Phillies have lost that. They're not professionals. They're not even minor leaguers, half these guys. 0 for 10 tonight with runners in scoring position. Just a pathetic game tonight from the Phillies. Gave me no help, and the over lost. Do you remember when Howie Kendrick was on the Dodgers and people were booing every time he came up as the leadoff? I don't remember that, but it doesn't surprise me.
Hey, Jeff, here's the Phillies moniker for the rest of the season. Like, we're going to keep Howie Kendrick up here because we're going to showcase him and maybe trade him at the deadline. Who the hell is in contention saying, you know what? We need a guy like Howie Kendrick.
Yeah, and people will point to that fact that he's hitting 343, but he's only had 137 at bats this year. He's barely played. His numbers look way better than he actually is. This guy is he's old. I mean, he came into the league in 2002. I mean, he's an old guy at this point. This just really bad. I mean, but
it is what it is. Yeah, we could talk all night on how bad the Phillies are. It just compounds it. When I know you're on the over of 8.5.
They're the worst team I've seen in some time in the major league. I'm serious. I have not seen a team this pathetic in a long time. They're really bad.
The funny thing about it is the Astros were this bad about 5 years ago, but they did every single thing right along the way. Drafted well, got free agents, taught them how to play the game, and now look at that team right now where you only hope the Phillies can do it. But again, it just gets back to the point, Jeff, where when the AAA team would kick the shit out of the Major League Ball Club and you don't bring anybody up, that's your problem.
But here's the problem. Everyone they bring up doesn't play well. I mean, it seems like
you're bringing up guys that have no future. Like you bring up Cam Perkins because you don't want to start another guy's clock.
I'll tell you what, you better
forced into bringing Nick Williams up, and he's the best player on your baseball team. And I have a feeling, Jeff, they sit around up top in the front office going, "Oh, Jesus Christ, man! The fans were begging us to bring up Nick Williams. We didn't want to do it. Now we brought up Nick Williams. Everybody knew he was good, and he's raking. Boy, Kingery is having an MVP, minor league season down there. We can't bring him up and start that clock. Let's just put Howie Kendrick back in there."
I watch their games like once a week usually, and like tonight I watched just because I had money on it. But I see the same people behind the Diamond Club every night. I think to myself, how do these people buy tickets? I mean, I don't get it. I mean,
no, you want to know why that is, Jeff? I'll tell you a good story behind there. My parents both retired. Every year they get a 15-game plan. Usually give 2 or 3 out to the kids, 2 or 3 out to some friends, but they like to save them some for themselves. Jeff, they went to the game last night. Do you want to know why they went to the game? Which I'm glad you said this.
Because they played the Astros.
They sit 4 rows deep in the outfield in right field. Nice seats. Catch a home run ball, great view of the field. You're right in front of the player in right field. Phillies contacted them, Jeff, and said, hey, you know what? We're going to move you into the Diamond Club for your next game, so welcome down. So that's why people are in the Diamond Club, Jeff. They're not buying those Diamond Club seats. They're just pulling season ticket holders and saying, please get down there. So we have some people in there.
The Sixers, you should do it. I don't know if you noticed, but do you ever notice how they made the court, like the court was lit up, but the stands were like kind of dark in a way?
Yep, sure. Yep.
Why do you think they do that?
Theater lighting, so you can hide the people.
Yeah, so no one sees there's no one there. That's a great way of doing it down at the ballpark. Now, the unfortunate part about the ballpark is you foul balls, the camera pans to them. It's and you look at
nobody was in the stands. One of the best teams in Major League Baseball is in town. The stadium was empty tonight.
And you look at tomorrow, I saw they're doing this stupid thing where the announcers are going to sit out in like the bullpen.
Oh yeah, just trying to trick it out.
I guess you're trying to trick people to buy tickets so they can sit near you and like hear the game being called and all that.
Folks, I'm sitting in the outfield tonight. I'm Tom McCarthy. Great, yeah. I'll make sure I show up for that one.
Yeah, and tomorrow I'm hearing all this crap about Nola's pitching. Who gives a fuck? This team stinks. They can't hit. I don't care what the line is. This is the best team in baseball against the worst team in baseball. And the worst team in baseball by a wide margin. There's no one even close to as bad as the Phillies. Michael Fiers, again, I'm going to point it out, has been pretty good. And look, I got to be honest, I feel like Nola gets crushed tomorrow for some reason. But just going to say. Donnie, let's move on to the next one. We spent way too much time.
By the way, I sort of got caught up in the chat box there where somebody was mentioning Julia Stewart-Binks. Is she on TV right now? Like, can we get a peek somewhere?
Who is that?
She's I think she works for Fox, but she's like a sideline reporter, but she's just hot. Somebody's got to come up with that down there. But when they chime in, they'll get back to it. They're 1-0, by the way, already. Mr. Christopher Lloyd, or whatever the guy's name is already down 1-0 to the New York Mets.
She is hot. Wow. Good call. She's got a
nerdy, hot. She has everything. Yeah, I don't know. I've been a fan. I don't know where
I'm good on her face. I'm a body very good, but I'm good on her
Atlanta game. She's doing the Atlanta game. I got that on right now. God damn, I missed that.
Nice.
What is she? A Diamondbacks girl? What is she sideline for the Diamondbacks? What is she? Oh, she might be. You know why? The Diamondbacks girl, I believe, went out on a pregnancy early in the season. She might be filling in. That might be actually what it is.
Fill-in, huh?
Yeah. Not a bad feeling right there. Yeah.
Go ahead, Donnie.
What's that?
I was just saying, those lines are god awful versus the Phillies. Been cashing those Astros tickets. And you know what's funny, Donnie? I was actually I was either going to play the over in this game tonight or the team total over for the Astros. And I'm thinking at 8.5, I'm like, there's no way they give this at 4.5, is there? Like, there's no way. So I go on the book and I see 5, and I'm like, I'll just play the over, I guess. I get the Phillies can get 3 or 4 probably. I would have pushed anyway, but yeah, I don't know. I'm good. Better than Ponder, Aaron Andrews. Aaron Andrews is a cunt, a bitch. I can't stand that woman.
I like Aaron Andrews. See, I married a blonde hair woman. I always had the blonde hair preference my whole life. So yeah,
Aaron Andrews is hot. She seems like a bitch.
I used to like too getting down this. Obviously, Sam Ponder is that girl next door, hot. But they had the one girl. I want to say. Her first name was Jen. She was blonde hair, a little bit big forehead, but smoking hot. She's no longer on it. She used to be on college football sideline girl, come in on the Saturday morning program as well. If anybody remembers what her name was, it was Jen something, but she was a smoke show.
Sarah Spain is my favorite right now, as far as
she's huge. She's too big for me, man.
Nah, dude. She's got the cleavage, man. I like Sarah Spain.
I like when you went on the air the other night, Jeff. We're getting sidetracked here, but you said somebody was hot. And somebody got angry with you, and then it turned into a little Twitter spat with you. Who was the girl that you said was hot? And somebody basically said you should get your eyes checked.
It
wasn't Rachel Nichols. It was somebody else.
Oh, it was Rachel Nichols.
It was Rachel Nichols? Okay.
Yeah, because the guy goes, I don't know what the fuck you're looking at. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? What do you mean? I mean, it's my opinion. What do I care what you think about my own opinion? And he just got hot about it. I don't know. But I don't know. I think Rachel Nichols has gotten hotter. I don't know. She did some kind of work to her face for sure. Couple other games tonight, Donnie, as we speak. We won't go into every game. I mean, some of these we don't have. Cleveland blew a 7-run lead, by the way.
What's the score now? It's still 7-7?
Still 7-7. And our friend Mike Clevenger was not good tonight, Donnie. 4 1/3, gave up 5 earned runs and a couple home runs. Nick Goody gave up a run as well. Definitely not one of the finer nights for the Michael Clevenger experiment. 10-4, Cole Hamels, of course, crushing it tonight. No surprise. You're always one step behind with Cole Hamels. You bet on him, he can't get anyone out. You bet against him, he gets a ton of run support, and he pitches fantastic. So no surprise there. St. Louis up 2-0 on Colorado. Colorado, again, having trouble hitting on the road, but they are threatening, Donnie. 2 men on, second and third, no outs. The bullpen is in, and just like that, Lance Lynn on the hook for 2 runs. They took him out. So that game is very alive in St. Louis. New York Mets, you mentioned, are up 1-0. And the Kansas City Royals, Donnie, we mentioned as a dog today, they were a good play. They get the job done today. I really liked the Royals tonight, Donnie. That was a game we talked about.
Yep. No, I thought the Royals was the right play in that one as well because, again, it looks like, Jeff, the same thing we talked about on the right side of campus. All you got to do is give a couple good innings, and that bullpen can take over.
I'll tell you what, Donnie, if you know much about me, you know I'm very much into Britt McHenry. I can't stand her personality. Her personality is one of the fakest I've ever seen, and this constant political crap coming out of her mouth now is really – there's nothing worse, Donnie, than when a girl that tries to act like she knows everything, and, like, she's hot for sure, but – I'd prefer her that she never open her mouth, Britt McHenry. That would be better. And again, political-wise, she's, you agree with her, that's fine, but she needs to stay in her lane and talk about sports. She's not in that business.
Is she even in the sports business anymore?
Not right now. I don't believe so. But again, she got canned by ESPN. But
maybe trying to go to Fox News, I guess. The whole blonde motif fit right in there.
When she pulled in that whole, that tow truck driver thing, I mean, that was just vile. Tonight's word's vile, if anyone hasn't found out. Tigers gave them the game. I don't care what happened. They won. That's all that matters, doesn't it, D? D's a Detroit Tiger fan, though. Sorry, D. Michelle Beadle's a MILF. Yeah, but she tries too hard to be funny. That's another thing I don't like. When a woman
looks older than she is. I think she's still in her 30s.
Yeah, Beadle's definitely hot, though. Our guest, Ryan Donnie, he loves Michelle Beadle.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Britt McHenry's really slutty hot. I don't know what you're talking about, Vig Simon. You wouldn't kick her out of your bed. I love all these guys that go, well, she's not hot. Yeah, like you would kick her out of your bed, Vig Simon. I got a feeling you wouldn't. Pam Oliver. Pam Oliver, hot? I wouldn't say she's hot, but I don't know if anyone's ever seen her ass, but it's pretty big.
Maybe a decade ago.
Yeah. Who else do we have? Who's that brunette on ESPN Sundays? I don't know, but there's a woman on she did draft coverage this year on ESPN. She's a blonde. She looks like she's like probably 35, 40. Is anyone who I'm talking about?
For draft coverage?
Yeah, I think her name's like Jen something. Maybe Jen what is her fucking name, man? Yeah, she did fucking NFL draft coverage. Anyone know who I'm talking about? On ESPN, she like interviewed the people on the Carrie Champion. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Carrie Champion and Maria Taylor. I like both of them. But we're not. Let's get away from this. I could talk about this too long. Ramona Shelburne. Ramona Shelburne. And
stop. Who said that out there? Come on.
Kevin White.
You were asking for a hot girl on ESPN. He came over.
Beth Mowins. Now, Ramona Shelburne looks like your typical 45-year-old mother.
That's pretty. I'm still laughing over this, man.
Is that her name, Jen Brown?
That's the one I had earlier. She's a good-looking girl.
Yeah, is that who I'm talking about?
Was she back on, like, interviewing people again?
Yeah.
She hadn't been on, I don't think, in like at least 2 years or 3 years.
I could have sworn she was.
She came right around the Aaron Andrews time. She was a reporter, her and Sam Ponder.
Very good. Jamil Hill. Come on, man. Jamil Hill. Cassidy Hubbarth. I don't know.
Jamie Sire was the one that they let go also at ESPN. She was the morning girl with on that morning crew, and she got iced.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that got iced. But I like Sarah Spain. That's my girl. Sarah Spain. RuPaul. Jim Beam trying to be funny again. Jim Beam, just talk regular. You're funny like that. When you try too hard, it's not funny. Anything else, Donnie, in baseball tonight?
No, I mean, what else are we talking about? Jacob Faria, a nice outing again, gets all the way through till the 8th inning, and Baltimore almost comes back down 5-0, gets to 5-4. I lost that game as a plus 114, but did pull out a Brewers game tonight, which was a beautiful, easy cruise fest. Thank you to Ed Lost Jackson out there, just throwing meatball after meatball after meatball. Kyle Davies with a sensational game out there tonight, making it almost to the 9th inning, but very nice and clean and easy victory for me to pick up the plus 116. So I made $16 tonight, Jeff. Not a bad daily wage for our business.
Big Man strikes me as a Molly Queerum guy. I love Molly Queerum. I've made her my number one at times when we've done these. If you guys like hot reporters, Donnie in Albania, I watch Albanian news a lot. Shut them down.
Yeah, really? Huh?
Yeah, amazing. They got chicks just fine. I
made a nice comeback, though, back from the 90s when I was in college. The college football pro football Monday night sideline reporter, Melissa Stark, was very young at that point.
Donnie,
she's now back on the NFL Network and looks better now than she did back.
I'll tell you what, I think she's the girl that I'm talking about. The ESPN.
She's great. Older, but I don't want to say older woman. That's kind of disrespectful.
What's her name? You said
she looks good. Michelle Stark, I want to say. Melissa Stark, one of those.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. She's really hot. That's what I was talking about. You're definitely right with that. She's very attractive. Very good.
Yeah, and now, Jeff, I'm surprised you haven't brought up Meredith Morakovitz, man. Come on.
Oh, I love Meredith. I loved her in Philly, and I love her in New York. She's that bigger jaunt that you can't get with because she's way taller than you. But yeah, I love me.
I think she was a volleyball player in college, correct? Or high school, college? Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. Before we get to our guests, again, we are sponsored by BetOnline.ag, a great website. Donnie, if you're looking for a book, you're in the market for a book, football's coming, make sure you have a variety of different books. Head on over to BetOnline.ag. Play poker, go on a casino, bet on horses. All sorts of stuff to do at BetOnline because you can. Big Man on Campus, you're a tits or ass guy. Ass for sure. Melissa Stark is an all-timer. Good call. Very good call by Donnie. He was the one that caught that. We have a guest, and he's got that big red hair. He looks like O'Doyle from Billy Madison. Ryan, welcome in. Ryan, everybody. Ryan is a friend, a longtime friend of mine. Donnie, you know Ryan. Mm-hmm. Ryan we've been friends for a long time. Ryan, you put up with me for a lot of years, but we're here to talk NFL. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, fellas. Appreciate you having me coming on and, join the show. Jeff, you and I have been doing these college and NFL videos here the last week or so, which has been fun. Nice to actually come on and join the show here. And hell of a call on Melissa Stark too. Whoever pointed her out, she's one of my favorites.
Well, I actually made the intro. Ryan, am I right that she was on draft coverage or something?
Her legs are fantastic.
Classy hot. That's the word for her. Classy hot. Yes.
I had to think she was on. I knew her name was. Her name was on the tip of my tongue. I just couldn't come up with it. Ryan, before we get into football, I want to ask you. We were talking earlier about Jose Altuve, and I think he's the best player in the game right now. Do you agree with that?
I mean, if he's not the best, he's definitely in the top. Top three? Top five if you're really going out on a limb. I mean, I'm not big for who's the best player, but I mean, what he's doing in the month of July is unreal. I mean, you and I were talking this afternoon, and I asked you, what's his current average on the year? And even his batting average for the year. I mean, okay, it'd be one thing if he caught fire this month and, he's batting over 500 in the month of July. The fact that he's sustaining it for the entire season is fantastic. I mean, he's what, 5'6"? I mean, come on.
Yeah, great base runner, great fielder, really does everything right. But yeah, I'm just kind of taking a poll here. That's 3 people now, Donnie, that are on SBR. We'll have to get the roundtable people tomorrow. Let us know what they think. Melissa Stark was interviewing the draftees after they're selected. Okay, very good. Joe Efford says O'Doyle rules, Ryan. O'Doyle rules. Ryan, you've gotten that forever, haven't you? Since high school.
Yeah, since high school. Yeah.
By the way, sure. Ryan and I went to high school together. So if anyone wants to know about how I was in high school, you can indeed ask Ryan. He'll be able to tell you. Ryan, let's talk a little NFL. Donnie, let's talk a little NFL. Before we get into actually the season, I would like to talk a little bit about our friend Lucky Whitehead, who you got to feel bad at this point for this guy. I mean, it's been a bad couple weeks for him. His dog gets stolen from him. Now he's out of a job, and it really had nothing to do with him. I read the story. I guess Prince William County down in Virginia, arrested a guy. The guy didn't have his ID, so they asked him who he was. And basically on good faith, they took what he said and arrested him. He gave him Whitehead's DOB, his Social Security, and full name, given name. I guess this guy looked just like Lucky Whitehead.
Hey, how the hell did the guy even have that, Jeff? How did he get his Social Security number? What's the deal down there?
I guess he looks like Lucky Whitehead, and he thought like, well, I guess if anyone ever gets me here, I'll just say I'm this guy. And now Lucky Whitehead's out of a job. But I got to tell you, Cowboys with a horrible job here of just going on. I think the whole thing around the Cowboys right now is they're not doing enough when it comes to dealing with these guys and stuff. And I think they were a little pressured here into doing something a little too quick here. This was a move that is kind of pathetic after you look at it. And they didn't even rescind anything. They could have rescinded Donnie his release rights, and they said no. What is going on with the Cowboys, and why wasn't this looked into a little bit further?
Yeah, but Jeff, it all gets back to the point with the Cowboys. The best part about this story is the one that leaks after they cut him. They say, the whole story is, oh, Lucky Whitehead, he robbed somebody and, he's up. And they go, we're not going to put up with this. We're going to cut him. So then he gets cut. And then his, agent comes out. Look, I have the proof. It wasn't me. It was a setup. And then the Cowboys go, yeah, but you had so many other transgressions. Who does not have transgression? Is the whole team just get in trouble nonstop from all over the map? And yes, the Cowboys do have the same thing they had back in the 90s, with a flop house, Michael Irvin. There were rape charges, there was cocaine, there was arrests. But if you can play football and you are worth something to Jerry Jones, he doesn't give a shit what you do. But if you're Lucky Whitehead, and maybe Lucky Whitehead had 7 or 8 run-ins where now it's coming out, he's untrustworthy. We couldn't trust him. He did other things you don't even know about. I mean, I guess it's just an open brothel down there in Dallas where whatever you want to do, as long as you come to play on Sunday, it's all good with us.
And I think they were definitely pressured into this because it's like, well, we're not doing anything about what's going on. We got to try to right the ship here. And if it means we got to get rid of somebody, we're going to do it. I mean, look, I don't care what I think it's happened. Didn't Joseph Randall steal something?
Yes, and they kept him on the team for a while. So yeah. There's so many guys that have a laundry list. I mean, come on. They took on Greg Hardy, and Jerry Jones had the audacity after a game again where Hardy blew up on the sidelines, whereas the New York Giants trying to just about fight every coach on the sideline saying, boy, we like that passion. He could be a captain on our team. They're so out of touch down there with everything.
Ron, you would agree this is just about making a statement, right?
Fall guy. He's a fall guy. I
mean,
come on. Let's call it what it is. I mean, he's the fall guy.
I agree.
They were getting pressured by not doing anything with the whole Zeke Elliott, week after week, something happening with him. And because he's a superstar and the guy you're building your team around, one of the guys you're building your team around, you're not going to do anything to him. So Lucky Whitehead gets in trouble and you say, forget it. I don't care what you have to say. He actually came out today and said that he went to Jason Garrett and told him that, adamantly, coach, this isn't me. I didn't do this. And basically Garrett looked him in the face and said, you're lying. I don't believe you. So, I mean, I don't know what to make of that circus down there. It's really comical. As an Eagles fan, and we're all Eagles fans here, ironically, I love it. This is just works in their favor, in my opinion.
Yeah. You guys hate the Cowboys. We need Troy West on here to stick up for them. Troy can call in. I'd love to hear from him. But again, it's not in real. We're just trying to stay at this point. We're just trying to report what's going on. And I think Ryan makes a good point. He is the fall guy. It's exactly what's going on. I hope Lucky Whitehead goes to another team and torches the Cowboys a couple times.
And here's my favorite part out there is now they get to the ultra opposite side where ESPN's like, does Lucky Whitehead have a legal case here against the Cowboys? Dude, the NFL is so cutthroat. If you have the wrong, fingernail length, they can cut you and get away with it. I loved when I heard that, Lucky Whitehead's going to have a great lawsuit against the Cowboys. Get the hell out of here with
that. Kevin Reynolds, Ryan, what was Big Men like in high school? Ryan, you want to elaborate on anything there?
I mean, Jeff was he what is that expression? He beat to the, or he went to the beat of his own drum, whatever that expression is. That was Jeff. I always liked him. I mean, some people might have said he was this, he was that. I always liked him. I took him for what he was, and he was. He was outgoing like he is now. He kind of had a transition from freshman year to senior year, kind of went through the whole what's the term I want to use, Jeff? You hung out with a lot of minorities, so you fell into
urban
that whole,
crowd.
Urban, thank you. You went through you went through the urban cycle. But yeah, here you are, and kind of how you were senior year is kind of how you are now for the most part.
So you would agree I don't change who I am, Ryan, which is a good way of thinking.
Which you have to absolutely, which I respect wholeheartedly. If you are the way you are, doesn't matter if anyone likes you or they don't. Be true to yourself. And Jeff, you're the definition of that.
How about that, Donnie Rightside? Ryan,
I love the breakdown of Jeff was more minority as he, and then transitioned into like a white man.
Listen, as we can tell in here, Donnie, we had a caller the other night. He's from Philly. Remember that guy?
Yeah,
I mean, I relate to everybody. The brothers.
No, you absolutely. That's one of your your redeeming qualities by far is you can tell. I mean, I don't think anybody even would have to question that.
That's a great – Brian, you're really stealing the show. A good breakdown. Thank you. Do you want me to break down who you were? I won't, though. Do you guys think Kansas has turned a corner? In football? No. No, I don't.
Where'd that come from? How about that, Simba?
Very random. Yeah, very random question, but I don't. I don't understand why David Beatty continues to get paid more money for having a bad football team. I will say this, though. As far as turning a corner – I would say they have a little. I don't think they're exactly a whipping boy anymore. I don't think they're a team that you're just going to beat handedly every night. I think they have some players there, but are they getting a better culture there? Yes, but they're only going to win 1 or 2 games this year. I can't see them turning much of a corner. You're talking MLB? So you mean Kansas City? Yeah. Again,
where are we going with this?
Did he not say Kansas?
Yeah, I thought it was Kansas.
Yeah. I'm confused here. Let's get into the NFL. Ryan, you're really good at fantasy. I've always said that you've done a really good job over the years. You've won a lot of money playing fantasy sports. Quickly, I mean, what's always gotten you so into fantasy? What is fantasy? Why is it fantasy?
Well, I mean, there's a reason why it's as big as it is now from where it started. I mean, it's polarizing. I mean, people fall in love with it. I mean, for one thing that I think you guys would relate to when it goes to betting is betting gives you a reason to have interest in other ball games, not just your favorite teams. Fantasy, likewise. I mean, I'll sit down on a Sunday and I have like the Red Zone package, DirecTV Sunday Ticket. I mean, I'll watch every game because you have so many players and so many different teams that you're watching every game that week. So to me, that's one big draw.
And that's why I think it goes so hand in hand with sports betting. I mean, you're truly capping how players will play. And with fantasy, it's more about the player aspect, not necessarily the team.
Right. And the competition is fantastic too. I mean, you get to duke it out with your friends. You get to talk shit. You get to win money. I mean, it's fantastic. The camaraderie is great too. I mean, if you've been in the league with the same people for the extended period of time, like I have with some of my leagues, I mean, it's fantastic. It's awesome. So
fun stuff. Ryan, let's get into some players. If your fantasy draft's coming up, we got Joe Everett here. He's a fantasy writer, so a lot of people on here to have some fun to talk about fantasy. Ryan, give me some sleepers. Who am I at late in 6th, 7th, 8th round?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and give you some sleepers. I'll give you some busts, and then I'll finish it with some guys I love who you absolutely have to get on your team with. That's how I'll break it down for you guys. Sleepers, I'm going to go out here and start with a quarterback, and I'm going to actually go with the guy we talked about on one of our NFL breakdown shows, Jeff. I'm going to go with Ryan Tannehill for a couple reasons. Now, bear with me here. A couple reasons. I know he hasn't been fantastic in the years prior, but this guy has more targets and more playmakers around him right now than most teams in the NFL. You got Jarvis Landry. You got Devontae Parker. Yeah, Julius Thomas, who I think can be a key contributor at the tight end position. Pair that with Jay Ajayi coming out of the backfield to take some pressure off of Tannehill. I think that speaks volumes. Plus, the O-line is revamped and a little better this year, 100% healthy. Pouncey was banged up coming into the year last year. That's only going to help. And the big thing for me, second year under QB-friendly Adam Gase's offense. We saw Jay Cutler take a big step when Gase was in Chicago. And I think we see Tannehill take a big step this year as he gets more comfortable in Adam Gase's offense.
I like that pick, Ryan. Donnie, we talked about the AFC East on the roundtable, and I mentioned I think this Miami team is going to take a little bit of a step forward. I think they have a lot better players around them. They have a little bit of a run game now. Again, I don't think he's going to be Tom Brady, Kevin, which Kevin's saying you're out of your mind for the Tannehill stuff, but I don't think he's a bum by any stretch of the imagination. I could see a situation where he can become a bum. I don't know that he's that good, but I think with the weapons around him, he might.
That's why he's a sleeper now.
Right.
I mean, I'm not telling you to take this guy with your first pick.
Right.
He's a sleeper. I mean, he gets slept on because he hasn't performed. So, if you're going to take a flyer on a guy, you need a backup quarterback, someone that can step in and fill in. I mean, I think he's fully effective numbers.
And for the most part, I mean, he's probably going to play one game for your team, or maybe two. Because I mean, your first quarterback's going to get a bye at some point. But other than that, you look at the weapons. I mean, Stills and Parker and Jarvis Landry, and you look at that offensive line. All of a sudden, pretty good. I mean, Laramie Tunstall, Mike Pouncey, German Bushrod, Juwan James, you added Julius Thomas as well. I agree with you. I think that's a really nice sleeper pick. Good call, Ryan.
Thanks. Next one here. I'll give you a guy I actually had on my team, one of my teams last year, and did some good things in kind of the wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 flex kind of position. Jeff, you'll like this one. You'll remember this guy from college. Jamison Crowder.
Sure.
From the Redskins. Yeah, he played at Duke. Gruden came out and said that he wants him to be on the field as much as possible this year. And a stat that really jumped out to me that I really had to read twice that I was kind of surprised with. He actually led all wide receivers in red zone targets last year. So when they get down to the red zone, they're looking his way. He's shifty. He kind of got that Wes Welker feel to him where all he needs is a little bit of space and he gets open. And he has value in the return game, which can't be that's got to be talked about. I mean, I've had a couple guys that have gotten me return touchdowns, and that's the difference in the game that week. I mean, someone taking a kick to the house really can kind of separate you and get you a win that week. So I like the value in the return game there. So I'm going to go with Jamison Crowder with the Redskins. Garcon's gone and Jackson's gone. That opens up some more room for Jamison Crowder.
How about that, Donnie? Another great pick here.
It all makes sense because you don't say, Jamison Crowder's coming up and just let Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garcon out the door unless you feel really confident of what's behind him. I agree. And again, as an Eagles fan, the Skins have our number, and he's a big reason why.
And you got to look at the fact of in this division, Cowboys don't necessarily have a good defense. Eagles are going to struggle at cornerback.
Yeah, Ron Brooks is going to cover him.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And you look at last year, Ryan, Deshaun Jackson, Pierre Garcon, that's 214 targets that are up for grabs this year that you're going to be able to kind of dole out like a priest with a wafer plate at church. You're going to be able to dole that stuff out. I really like that, Ryan. That's a great point by you. And you look at the first thing, you type in Jamison Crowder, I see Sean Tomlinson at Bleacher Report. Jamison Crowder could be the NFL's top breakout player of 2017. Very good pick, Ryan. I think that's a great one. Where would you draft him, Ryan? 8th round, 7th?
Probably somewhere around there. I think I look for him, like I said, to kind of fill in that, depending on how your roster breaks down, wide receiver 3, flex position, somewhere in there. That's where I used him a lot last year, was for my flex, kind of a week-to-week thing, depending on matchups. So.
And that's a good point by Joe Everett. If Terrell Pryor clicks in that system, Crowder will get a lot of single coverage. Great point. Good flex player is Jamison Crowder out of Duke Blue Devil. Ryan, what else do you have for us?
I'll give you one more little sleeper. I won't spend on him for a long time, but this is kind of a deeper sleeper. Not like my first two guys. Sticking the NFC East here. Paul Perkins for the Giants. I think he's come out and he's already established being the number 1 running back. Okay, they've already established that. He has a big opportunity here to where if he proves himself in the passing game and he can add a boost there and kind of put Shane Vereen off to the side, there's no reason he can't be on the field first, second, and third down. I mean, he kind of came on late a little bit last year, and I think he has the ability to be the number 1 running back there in a place where they haven't had a true number 1 running back in
A long time.
I don't even know how long. So, yeah, a deeper sleeper, someone really late, I'll look at Paul Perkins.
We have some Giant fans here on the chat. That'll be something they enjoy hearing. Yeah, I don't not support the Giants. I think we need to, and Ryan, maybe you can elaborate here. I'm just saying pump your brakes a little bit with this group. I think to say that they're going to be an elite offense, which I've heard, and to say they're going to lead the league and all, I mean, take it easy a little bit. They don't have much of a run game other than, Paul Perkins. They have I don't get hype because they got Brandon Marshall. That's all I'm saying. But I like the Paul Perkins selection. Good pick, Ryan. Give us some bus.
Yeah, some bus here. Two ones right out the gate here. Two big ones. First, I fully expect to take some flack for this, but bear with me here. Quarterback Derek Carr for the Oakland Raiders. Okay, a lot of people see him. A lot of people see him as a top 10 option, right? A top 10 quarterback. I mean, if I'm drafting a quarterback, he's definitely one that I'm circling. Definitely one that I want to go after. Slow down a little bit here. One, he's coming off an injury last year, had the broken leg. Okay, that can't be overseen. Two, last year he was 16th in total points by position. So by the quarterback position, he was 16th, which is dead center, middle of the pack for starting quarterbacks. Middle of the pack quarterback. He's not someone that I want to take a flyer on early and try to build my team around. Okay. And you add Marshawn Lynch in there. How many touches is he's going to steal? They're going to try to get him, 15 to 20 carries a game, kind of take some pressure off of Derek Carr. I mean, and how's he going to handle the pressure going forward? Just got paid. They won the division last year. A lot of high expectations for the first time in over a decade in Oakland. How's he handle that? So for me, he's not a top 10 quarterback on my board. I drop him down a little bit for the reasons that I listed there.
Plus, you look at Denver, very good defensive team. Chiefs, pretty good defensive team. Chargers improved on defense. Definitely a tougher group. I like Derek Carr. I think he's going to be a great player. They're going to win a lot of games. But I think you got to look, Ryan, as you said, at certain things with fantasy. Couple extra, passes per game that he doesn't get because he hands the ball off because they want to make the run game a little bit more prominent, things like that. And Marshawn Lynch is a clear option down inside the 10-yard line, Ryan. I mean,
exactly.
That's going to take away touchdowns. Yeah, I think that's Ryan really looking into this. That's a really good call by you. Who's your other bud?
And with Derek Carr, like you said, gonna take less chances inside the 10-yard line with Marshawn Lynch. Also, a team that you kind of expect to play from ahead a lot this year.
Right.
So you kind of want to run the ball and chew the clock and milk some time. You're not going to be, throwing 40 times a game if you're leading. So you also have to look at that as well. My other sleeper here, my other bust, this is a big one for me. This is one guy that I just am 100% staying away from this year. And the numbers support it, and the numbers are actually kind of staggering once you think about it, and I read them to you guys. Wide receiver Randall Cobb for the Green Bay Packers. Okay, this guy, like 3 years ago, was a fantasy stud. I mean, this guy was one of the better wide receivers in the league, putting up a lot of numbers, getting the ball from Aaron Rodgers. Everyone knows the story. Getting rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, the works. Some punt returns mixed in there. The last 3 years, though, his receptions and his touchdowns have gone down considerably. Last 3 years, receptions, 91 to 60 last year. Okay. And then touchdowns the last 3 years have gone from 12 to 6 to 4. So where are they going to go this year? Plus, Devontae Adams, I think, has cemented himself in front of Randall Cobb on the depth chart there. Got a lot of touches last year, a lot of receptions. And then they added another weapon at tight end with Marcellus Bennett, who's probably going to get a lot of touches this year. So for me, Randall Cobb is just a big, big red flag and a big stay away.
Plus, he gets injured a lot. You would think they're going to start going to the run game a little bit more. I got to tell you, I'm not as high on the Packers as a lot of people. I've said to you, Ryan, I love Aaron Rodgers, but I got to tell you, I think a lot of people are just putting them into the NFC Championship and saying, well, everyone else just try to beat them. Again, I mean, did they get that much better defensively? I mean, they were really bad last year. They're going to have to depend on a lot of young players. Is that offensive line any better? So you added Jari Evans. Is that supposed to mean that they're better on the offensive line? Because
the only thing is, who's going to mess with them, though, in that division, though, Jeff?
The Vikings. I think the Vikings are a very good football team. And I think, Brian, you would agree they're going to be a team that's going to give them some trouble. I mean, they've given them trouble before.
Yeah.
And we
talked about that,
They got a lot better, Donnie. I mean, adding Dalvin Cook and Latavius Murray, that now you look at last year, I mean, a decent year last year, and they had no run game whatsoever. You had 2 running backs all of a sudden. You add, you add some. They had a really good defense the last couple of years. I think they're a team that will give them a little trouble. We had some questions here, Ryan. What do you think of Charles in Denver?
Yeah, Jamal Charles. Look, he could actually turn out to kind of be something, considering the quarterback position there. You're not really sure what you're going to get there. So are they going to want to run the ball a little bit more?
Smash him out.
Probably going to. Yeah, probably gonna. He's obviously going to have to split carries with C.J. Anderson. So, as a late round guy, I mean, look, I'm all for taking risks with late round guys. My last, depending on how many picks you get and how your draft plays out, my last 2-3 picks, maybe most years, are just flyers on guys that I just going to take a flyer on. If he pans out, he pans out. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good way of looking at it. I mean, their quarterback situation, Donnie, is drabby. I mean,
yeah,
I've heard. I mean, does anyone think Paxton Lynch and what do you have there? Simeon. I mean, just not a lot to get excited about there, really. Where else are we at here? As Eagle fans, any thoughts on the Chiefs dropping Macklin? Yeah, I don't know why they did it. But again, he gets injured a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like they're allergic to.
I mean, unless you're going to make the transition, I guess they're going to. Is Alex Smith still going to be your bell cow? Because if I'm Jeremy Macklin, I'm happy as hell I got cut. Because if I'm not running a 3-yard out, I'm not getting the ball anywhere on the field.
I still laugh at the pick of Mahomes. I mean, one of the dumber picks I've ever seen. I don't necessarily hate taking him, but that team taking him, I don't understand that taking pattern at all. He's like the polar opposite of everything they do offensively, isn't he? I mean,
yeah, young gun, going to run it up. He's going to make rookie mistakes. When Alex Smith is the safest, the blue chip stock that only moves, inches forward each year. That's Alex Smith, where you're going to get a more of a boom or bust guy. You're right about that.
It's amazing. It's one of the dumber picks I've ever seen. Vikings will win the division if their offensive line stays healthy. Yeah, I really think they're a live team in that division. Ryan, what else do you have for us tonight?
So I'm going to close it out here with 3 guys that I love, 3 guys that I will absolutely be looking to grab in my draft one way or the other. I advise you guys to do the same. Number 1, I'm going to come out with a guy that I'm probably the most high on coming into this year. I think he's poised to take a huge step. And I'll be honest, when I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. And this is a guy I didn't think, for some reason, just in my gut, I didn't think he was going to transition that well to the NFL. But he has done so pretty nicely, and he looks to take another big step in his 3rd year. That's quarterback Jameis Winston for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, okay? Yeah. They add Deshaun Jackson. They add O.J. Howard. Last year he led – this stat to me is fantastic and why I love him here and why fantasy numbers, this matters. Last year he led all quarterbacks with 44% of his throws more than 10 yards down the field. And you got to think that's going to improve even more this year and probably even get bigger with Deshaun and O.J. Howard there. And over the last couple years, his first 2 years in the league, he has 7 rushing touchdowns. So he adds value there in the running game. He can pick you up some yards and pick you up a touchdown inside the 5 or 10 yard line when they get down there. So I absolutely love Jameis Winston. I'm a guy that I don't backs early. I like to build up my wide receivers and my running backs. I think you can get quarterbacks with some good value later in the draft. And this is one guy I think a lot of people will kind of sleep on, and he'll be around in a lot of your drafts later on. So he's a guy that I'm definitely really high on this year.
Ryan, great picks tonight, but I think how long have you been talking about Tampa Bay, Ryan? I mean, ever since that draft happened, I've been very high on everything they do. Quickly, before you get to the other 2, thoughts on Brandon Cook's fantasy value this season? Probably lots of receptions, I'd assume. Stack it with Edelman. What do you think? Do you love it? I feel like there's not enough receptions to go around there.
I love him. I'll tell you why. This is probably the first legit deep threat. I mean, a legit deep threat Brady's had since Randy Moss. And I'm not comparing Randy Moss to Brandon Cooks, but when he had a deep threat last time, it was dangerous. So pair him with Edelman and those guys underneath, with Brandon Cooks being able to stretch the field. I like Brandon Cooks this year. And another thing. When they get rid of first-round picks, the Patriots, it's not like by accident. They don't just hand those. They don't just hand those away. Okay, they did it for a reason. They think he's got some value here. So I love Brandon Cooks.
Interesting. That's a good point by you. They're not ones to just give away picks like that. What does Tampa Bay have in the defensive back end? Look, you don't make a terrible point there. You're right. I mean, I like Vernon Hargreaves clearly, but other than that, I mean, they are a little weak back there. And in that division, the Saints are a really good offensive team.
Yeah.
Who knows what Atlanta's going to be very good, right? That's a good point by you, Loose Cunt, which I always like that name. Chris Conti. I mean, what do you have there? I mean, you got Justin Evans from where did he go? Justin Evans. I feel like I'm thinking of Juwan Evans. I think he's with the Texas A&M, if I'm correct. But yeah, you don't have much in the back end there. Ryan, Donnie, what do you think? Donnie, is that something you got to be concerned about if you're the Bucs? I mean, not a lot in that defensive backfield there.
No, there's not, but I think they can overcompensate with their front seven to get some pressure, sort of like what the Eagles are going to try to do this year. But Jeff, from all our shows we talk about in the NFL, the one team we always seem to circle around is Tampa Bay down there in the NFC South. We think they're the team on the come down there, meaning they're going to take that next step up. I see, Carolina, I don't really know what I'm going to get out of them. We always see from the Atlanta Falcons and the type of situation they're on, that sort of lull that you get from the Super Bowl when you lose it. And then you have the New Orleans Saints, which, again, I think they peaked a couple of years ago, just trying to hang on there. I think this is the team that's ready to take the bull by the horns over the next 5 to 6 years in that division.
Yeah, their front seven's sick. And they do remind you a lot of the Eagles. I mean, young quarterback, some good skill position players, good front seven, question marks on the back end. Let me ask you, Ryan, who would you rather have as far as the secondary, the Bucs secondary or the Eagles currently?
Jeez. You're going to think I'm crazy, but secondary, I probably would say the Eagles because their safety are a little better.
Yeah.
I love this. I love their duo at safety. But if you're talking straight cornerbacks, I probably would take.
Yeah,
I mean, at least they have Hargreaves.
Yeah, give me Vernon Hargreaves and Brent Grimes.
Until Sidney Jones, baby. Until Sidney Jones.
Right.
Until next year.
Which won't be until next year.
You always have to wait. Yep, first round picks.
A couple other questions here, Ryan. Then we'll get to your last two. We'll save that one to the end there. Chance Stembridge. Ryan, give us your last two.
Last two here, guys. I'll close it with a quarterback and a wide receiver, or excuse me, a running back and a wide receiver. Running back that I'm actually, he's actually going to be my keeper in one of my leagues. A guy that really, I took a chance on him last year, and he paid dividends. So was able to take a nice step forward in his sophomore year. So I'm going to go with Melvin Gordon out of Wisconsin, okay? He was 4th in the NFL in rushing touchdowns last year, and that was even missing the last game of the season. He got 80% of the carries last year in San Diego, and I look for that number to probably hover right around the same, maybe even go up a little bit because Danny Woodhead is out of the mix there, so you take his touches away, give them to Melvin Gordon, and I expect his receptions per game to keep rising. They rose from his rookie year up to last year to his sophomore year. I look for them to go up again. I mean, this is a guy that, look, injuries, you're always going to kind of worry about him, but I mean, he did play 15 games last year, so I really am high on Melvin Gordon going into this year. I think with that offense down there and the way Phillip Rivers kind of spreads things out and the way that they want to kind of run the ball a little bit more this year, they're saying. So I'm really high on Melvin Gordon.
Better offensive line, too. They went out and got Forrest Lamp. I thought was a great player. Dan Feeney as well, a good left guard. They can give depth there. And you look at their backup running back, not a lot there. I mean, former Eagle Kenyon Barner, Kenneth Farrow from Houston. And I do want to point one thing out. You mentioned, Ryan, the Wisconsin Badgers. Quick note in college, you want a guy coming up that's going to be a really good player in the next 1 or 2 years, Bradrick Shaw. We know at Wisconsin they spit running backs out. That's what they do. I mean, Ron Dane, Melvin Gordon, Corey Clement. Broderick Shaw is a guy that I think Alabama is going to be sick to their stomach. They didn't go out and get. This guy played at Hoover, a very good setting high school in Alabama. They let him walk. He's at Wisconsin. I think Paul Chris is really going to turn this guy into a real star coming up. He could be a guy that plays on Sunday someday, but keep a lookout for him, Wisconsin. But I think, Ryan, a really good pick on Melvin Gordon there. They really got better on the offensive line. And, if they can take a little bit of pressure off Phillip Rivers, I like that pick. Very good stuff there.
Yeah, look, and my last one here, guys, I'm going to go with a guy I picked up on the waiver wire, actually, about halfway through my season last year. And I look for him to really take a step forward this year. Kind of a nice transition here from one of our listeners with the question about Brandon Cooks. He leaves New Orleans, giving Michael Thomas a big opportunity to step up here. He's now Drew Brees' number one guy down there. He had 92 receptions and 9 touchdowns last year. I look for him to probably even flirt with 100 and get up over 100 receptions this year. Listen to these numbers. He had more touchdowns than Julio, Dez Bryant, A.J. Green, T.Y. Hilton, and Demaryius Thomas last year. I look for him to take a step forward again this year, if not even just put up the same numbers. And look, and if he's putting up those same numbers, 92 receptions and 9 touchdowns, I'll gladly take that as a wide receiver in fantasy. So I'm really high on Michael Thomas down there on the fast track in Indy. And Drew Brees, he's getting older, but the dude still puts up numbers. So with Drew Brees as number one guy, I'll take it. So Michael Thomas, the last game I'm going to throw at you guys.
Yeah, you got to think he's the guy now in New Orleans. I mean, obviously, you mentioned Cook's gone. It's time for him to step up. And, I mean, Ted Ginn, Willie Snead, I just think they're complimentary guys. Michael Thomas, good call out of the it's surprising, Ryan, you took someone from Ohio State.
I know.
You're not an Ohio State guy.
Right. No, but he's a stud.
Would you agree he's a first-round pick, Ryan?
A first-round pick? Nah, I wouldn't spend a first-round pick on him. I don't.
Joe Everett says depending on your league format or scoring system.
Really? Huh?
Could be a borderline.
Yeah, I wouldn't put him in the first round. It's second, third, perhaps. But yeah, I don't think I'd put him in the first round.
Someone's saying he got 4-game suspension. Is that true? I don't think that's true. I think you might be thinking of someone else. Okay, yeah, that's Rams receiver Mike Thomas. It's a different guy.
Yes, a different guy. Yep.
But again, a good call, Ish Gordon. It could have been him. That's the other Michael Thomas. Very good. By the way, who's on Hard Knocks this year? I don't even
Tampa
know.
Bay.
Oh, really?
It's a good one.
Tampa Bay.
Oh, that's gonna be great.
Yep.
That's gonna be really cool.
Starts Tuesday. Starts a week from tonight, I believe.
Ooh.
Okay. No.
Yeah, August 3rd, first NFL preseason game. Get your NFLX packages, Jeff.
I think it's August 8th.
Maybe 2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah, I think
is it August 8th?
They got to get a little tape. Yeah, August 8th. 15 days. So 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But Ryan, I got to tell you, really great stuff. Really impressive. I
got Cowboys Cardinals Thursday, August the 3rd.
What do you mean?
Friday. I think it's Friday.
That's the first game.
That's the Hall of Fame game. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. I was just saying the first.
I was talking. Okay, I'm talking about Hard Knocks.
Oh no, I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
Ryan, you would agree, Donnie. Really good stuff. I mean, really. I've never been a huge fantasy guy, but I will agree. I'm starting to get into a little bit more. Really quality stuff, Ryan. I think everything you said made a whole lot of sense, and I hope we can have you on again. Before we let you go, I mean, so what are you thinking this year with the Eagles? I mean, give us a win total here.
Well, last year I said they'd win 9 games, and they won 9 games. So this year, I'm going to go. I'm going to say they improved 1 game.
7 and 9
maybe I said 7. Maybe I said 7. I don't remember. Maybe it was 7. Yeah. It was 7 and 9. Because how many games did they win last year? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was 7. Yeah.
So they did win 7, right? So
you definitely didn't say they'd win 7 games, right?
No,
Stop.
No, yes, I did. Are you crazy?
No, you said they'd win like 9 or 10. Dude.
Get the tapes.
I'll pull the tapes from the Big Metal Cat.
We can go back. Right.
Yeah. No, Ryan, you're always very optimistic about this team generally.
Yeah. Look, this year I think I mean, the schedule is worrisome. We talked about that on our NFC East breakdown, which go check that out, guys, if you haven't checked it out yet. And look, I think that they can win 9 or 10 games, absolutely, and push for a wild card spot. The only thing is the secondary for one, or the cornerbacks most notably, and the schedule. The schedule worries me. If they start out hot and they can get some wins under their belt going into the middle of the season, that bodes extremely well, because the December schedule for this team is brutal. So if they're behind the 8 ball come December, forget about it.
All right, good stuff, Ryan. We'll take 5 more minutes. Let's do Donnie little question hour. Any questions you have for Ryan, Donnie, or I, you can ask them. Fantasy, whatever. Jonathan Yim, do you ever get into big slumps? Which sport has been the hardest to cap? Yes, I get into big slumps all the time. Donnie, you agree as well. If you don't get into slumps, you're kidding yourself. If someone's telling you they don't get into slumps, you probably want to look the other way. As far as the hardest to cap sport, I would go with baseball. I think baseball can be really tough. There's a lot of variance in baseball. It's a long season. And for me, I mean, I think on the surface it looks easy, but it's really tough, I think. I don't think NBA is that bad. I actually run with the system in the NBA, which, Ryan, you know about. I kind of just have some fun with fading the steam and stuff like that. I think it's MLB, personally, just because it's a long season. What do you think, Donnie?
I think it's the NBA because it's not the actual game where, in the NBA, there's a lot more possessions than college basketball. So if you're up 20 points, it doesn't matter. The fact that makes the NBA so tough, which varies from every other sport, Jeff, is, to me, honest to God, I don't think the NBA players give a shit during the regular season. Like, you look at hockey, they bust it every time. The NFL, you can't take a week off. In baseball, the pitcher, you're based and you're going to get paid on your statistics, and you watch a Major League Baseball game. How many times do you say up there, like, they don't even care, nobody cares up there? In the NBA, you literally can see some games, Jeff, where one team just literally took the game off because they were out partying the night before. That's why I think the NBA is so hard to cap.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of prima donnas for sure. I think we know that. You got a good point there, Donnie. More enjoyable pick maker, Joe Gavassi or Ross Benjamin?
Who said that?
Who do you think? Big Simon. Definitely Joe Gavassi. Ross Benjamin's horrible.
Remember that?
Oh yeah, the little
Classic.
noise sounds, the animal sounds. Joe Gavassi's entertaining, I think. If I only had a time machine, sports, I'm missing the question there. At what point is preseason do you guys place NFL futures or NCAA futures? I've done NCAA futures around now, especially if I like favorites, or teams that are going to be more, a little bit better. As far as dogs, though, I mean, sometimes it really depends. It's game to game or team to team. Oklahoma State, I think their odds are going to go down, so I'm going to look to bet them now. It's kind of like betting underdogs. If you think, Donnie, usually want to bet an underdog late as possible, right?
Yeah, of course. Yep.
People, Ryan, people are liking your roar there. Can we get one of those again?
Say that again?
Give us a roar, Ryan.
A roar?
Yeah.
Like that I haven't seen that. Is that like, when he gives it a play? Take the Marlins on the money line tonight.
No, he would go like, let's go with the Charlotte
Bobcats.
Let's go out with the Ohio Bobcats.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and he would make animal sounds like when he would give a pick out.
Jeff, do you remember when he said if a team lost or if he lost that bet, he would eat his own gym sock, and then he recorded a video of himself.
And he actually did it. Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah. I don't know. Vig, I don't know. Vig Simon, I don't know if you've ever seen that, but 4 years ago or so, he had a bet with, I think, Matt Tesaro about if he lost a bet, he would eat his own gym sock. And he actually took a video of him doing it where it was like, I have to send you it. It's really funny. It was just amazingly funny. Joe Gavassi, definitely a treasure for sure. Do you guys like teasers? In the NFL, I do, but basketball, no, I hate them. And
Jeff routinely crosses zero in teasers. By
shut up. No, I don't. If you cross zero in teasers, you're an idiot. Do you feel like you have a better edge betting now than closer to game time?
You know what? It's interesting in that, Jeff. I'll take the point on that from my perspective. It's completely different. You see me in baseball most of the times. I like to wait for the lineup to come out. It's not a rare situation where Jeff and I will talk on a Tuesday about information moving for a game on Saturday and fire away on it. College football and pro football, you're more advantageous to hit that opening liner early in the week as opposed to waiting till Sunday. So I'm in complete agreement to that.
I think in college football, if you're betting big numbers, clearly you want to bet them early, especially if you think a team's way better than another team. But yeah, I mean, if you're later in the year, as the year goes on, bowl lines and things like that, you definitely need to know what's going on close to game day, because someone could get suspended, injuries, things like that. The lines are a little bit more, kind of right. So yeah, if I'm betting a big favorite, if I'm betting Ole Miss minus 35 or something, I'm going to bet that as early as I can. But as the season goes on, I'm going to definitely wait a little bit longer. How many games?
No, you're right. You're just to expound on that point, Jeff. You're exactly right, because in baseball, let's just say you got a number at 120. Ooh, now it's at 130. That doesn't really have an impact on the actual game itself, except what you're going to lose. We talk about it all the time. The crossing the key numbers. Michigan opens up as a favorite of 13.5. You like Michigan? You better get that damn 13.5, because if it hits 14 or 14.5, you lost. And so what if the game goes, Jeff, to 13, 12, 12.5, or 11.5? Those key number and crossover points are extremely important in football.
And I vilify, baseball money moves and stuff. I don't know if they really mean much, but I definitely am much more inclined to watching line moves in football as opposed to anything. It's all about getting the right number, finding the right number. I have a little mix of it. It's a lot of the number, and it's a lot of the actual team as well. Best bet for USA Jamaica tomorrow. I would say -1. I think they get the job done 2-0. Jamaica's had a nice series and a conference or a team tournament here, but I think it ends tomorrow. USA should have a rabid fan base there. We'll take a couple more. Do you guys have any MLB pitchers or teams you consider auto bets right now? The Dodgers, excluding tonight. The Dodgers, the Diamondbacks at home. Cologne fading him whenever he pitches. Donnie, you would agree. There's a couple guys for sure.
Yeah, there's a couple. The ones that if you're looking at just saying that the team to win, which again, you might even want to change up your approach. It might be cheaper to take like Dodgers for a series line than actually game to game paying, $290 or $300. I like to look for stuff that's a little bit under the radar, but I would say more than teams to bet on, Jeff, teams to avoid. And even though the Padres, I believe, are winning 3-1 tonight, they're going to be one of those teams I look to avoid. Same thing with the White Sox. Yeah. When you blow your team up and send that red flag up in the or the white flag up in the air, it's hard to back those teams.
Padres, White Sox, Phillies, obviously. Yeah. And you're going to see teams become sellers. I think teams to bet on right now, KC, they bolstered a bullpen a little bit. The Yankees, I'm hearing Sonny Gray and Yonder Alonso possibly. They're going to be a team to fortify themselves. Ron, you'll like this one. Look for Al McMorty on his Michigan takes. This guy's a booster behind Harbaugh. Definitely has insider trading going on. Might try to throw off scent, but watch his opinions on Michigan. I guess Vic Simon adamantly believes Al McMorty, Big Al, is a booster of Jim Harbaugh's, which I don't know. All right, guys. Everyone have a great night. Ryan, we appreciate you coming on. Really,
thank you, Ryan, buddy. Appreciate it, man.
I thought it was really educational. I learned a lot. We'll definitely have to have you on more. Sure. I know you're a good sports guy. Donnie, before we go, tomorrow we have the SBR Roundtable. Will be live at 12:30 Eastern. We'll be reviewing the baseball card and talking and continuing our NFL and college previews. We're talking Mountain West. And what's the NFL conference, Ryan? Or Donnie?
I actually don't. I forget which one it was, actually.
I guess we should find that out quickly, shouldn't we?
It shouldn't be too hard to talk about those 4 teams, whatever conference we're going in. But again, Jeff, I know it's not the NFC East. I know that for a fact.
AFC South.
Oh, good one. Yeah, perfect.
Quickly, Ryan, we have a guy asking about some quick strategies on drafts and fantasy.
Chance is real big on this. We're not going to let him get out of here without that. Right?
Yeah. What do you got on that?
What was the question, Jeff?
Any draft strategiges in your fantasy stuff?
Like draft quarterbacks first round, wait till the 6th round?
Yeah. For me, it's I try to quarterbacks. That's my big kind of strategy. Always for years. If you can't get like Rodgers, Breeze, Brady, one of them guys early, then just wait because they're the gap between those guys and the rest of the field is pretty deep. So I like to build up with receivers, then running back, and then I'll throw in a quarterback. So that's what I do. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes, most years, I don't even draft a kicker. I don't even waste that roster spot on a kicker. I'll just pick one of them off the free agent wire. Some years the leading kicker in the league isn't even on a roster at this point. It's crazy. It's happened before. So, that's a couple things I do.
Yeah, that's one thing, Ron, you've always said to me. You always talk about that. Don't draft a kicker. That's a good point. Good stuff. All right, guys. Everyone have a great night. We'll be back tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern on the Roundtable. Be safe tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow at